What's up, guys? Mystery School back again with another video. Today's topic, today's thingy today is an article by Monica Dittrich. Dittrich. It's basically a black pill article about female sexual choice and how it affects men and all that crap. We're just gonna read through it and I'll commentate over it. So, from the title here, evolutionary biologist, many men will no longer find a sexual partner. Male civilizations contradict nature. This is the thesis of the biologist Miek Stoverock. She has written a book on the evolutionary principle of female choice, according to which females control access to sex. What does this mean for the future of relationships between men and women? By Monica Dittrich. So let's read the article. And keep in mind, this is translated from German, I think. So yeah, we're gonna have I might be a few things wrong here, but we're gonna read through it the best we can. So, in the animal kingdom, women choose whether crane, giant kangaroo, or bird of paradise. The male of almost all species make an effort to get the females to mate. The biologist Miek Stoverock describes it like this: attractive males with horns, antlers, decorative feathers, or bright colors make a huge blow. They sing, give, build, threaten, collect, dance, and imitate voices that make the poor females dizzy with eroticism. Usually, the males have tons of sperm cells which they want to mate with the females. For the females, however, reproduction is much more complex. Their egg cells are more precious, and brood care is exhausting. This is why they are picky. They determine which male. This is why they are picky to determine which male can mate. A nature, a law of nature was overturned. Not all males get a chance. Many remain without females and without sex. That's the female choice, the law of evolution. Sex is a finite resource for males that females control. The fact that males try often and persistently to establish sexual contact with females that females almost always refuse these attempts is not a fault of the system, it is the system. That's a black pill right there. It just is. It always just is. It's not a matter of like hating women. It's not a matter of hating the system. You can hate the system all you want, but the system is what the system is. There's this process of sexual selection that drives on evolution is what it is. Mix the silver rock spreads out the panorama of evolutionary biology relationships with relish. And the conclusion that comes to mind when reading this is humans are only animals, are only mammals. True. From a scientific point of view, the principle of female choice must apply to them. That's how it used to be, the author explained convincingly. Today's world population has about twice as many females as male ancestors. So in pre-cultural times, about 70% of women mated with 35% of the men. That's actually better than what we thought. So we realized to go with 80-20, but it's damn near close. It's pretty fucking close. So yeah, 80-20, not so much, but 70-35 is pretty damn bad. Um, and yeah, we already kind of knew this. Everybody knows the mitochondrial DNA evidence. Not everybody knows it, but it's just true. When you go back in time, you have twice as many female ancestors as male ancestors, so it's just true. Marriage prevents male sexual competition. So What happened that we live in a male civilization today? In a nutshell, Miek Stoverock explains it as follows: around 10,000 years ago, people settled in agriculture, and women disappeared into private homes where they looked after the children. From then on, men decided on the distribution of women. They invented marriage to contain male sexual competition and to secure access to sex. This oppression is the foundation on which today's states, political systems, and culture stands. I don't like this phrase here, oppression. She basically so calls marriage oppression. That's bullshit. Marriage benefits both the male and the female, and you could argue that it benefits the female more than the male. The male is forced to work his ass off for the female to sit at home all damn day long and just take care of kids. There's no oppression there. In fact, women get to choose who to get them married. Now, maybe not back in the good old days, but nowadays you do have the option to pick who you get to marry. So, where's the oppression at? For her to call it an oppression, this is this is seeping in a feminist rhetoric for sure. That is the radical thesis, and Miek Stoverock pleads for nothing less than a new world order. However, as a connoisseur of evolutionary history, she does not think in terms of years and decades, but rather in terms of generations and centuries, and does not want it to return to female choice in its purest form because, as she writes, peaceful coexistence and high sexual competition are mutually exclusive. That's true. If you have too many frustrated men and there's too much competition for female eggs, my God, you're gonna have, once again, if you watch my last video on poly something, you're gonna have a lot of rape, pillage, and murder in the world. You can't have peace without. You can't. Yeah, actually, as she said, it's true. Like, these things are mutually exclusive. You can't have peace and high sexual competition. It just doesn't work, and it's never worked. The incel phenomenon. But the time is ripe to rethink the coexistence of women and men, especially since gender relations are changing anyway. Women, at least in the Western societies, are becoming freer and more independent. Culture, not evolution, has so far made women available to men, and women are breaking with it now. Men have to be brave in reading this book because the biologist assumes that many of them will no longer find a partner. What is ignored is the biological perspective, however. Men and women are probably more than the sum of their drives. They don't just bind to each other to complete an evolutionary reproductive program. Well, yes, they do. I mean, at the end of the day, when you really get down to brass tacks, we do just bind to each other to complete an evolutionary reproductive program. That's what we do. Like, that's like the basis of almost every relationship ever. You could argue the basis is to have sex, reproduce, and make children. At the end of the day, that's all it comes down to. Everything else we throw on top of it is just fluff. It's just extra fluff. If you happen to like the person, that's nice and all that, but at the end of the day, it always comes down to reproduction. The biologist is likely to be right with her observation that the so-called incel, the involuntary celibate men, can be dangerous. Incels also exist in the animal kingdom. They are the rest, the non-premium males who are left over after the evolutionary screening process and have no chance of reproduction. This phenomenon has only been suppressed to this day by the male civilization that controlled and disenfranchised women. Once again, this idea of women being oppressed under a system in which they were taken care of, fed, clothed, and they didn't have to work at all is once again it's kind of pissed me off a little bit because, like, there's no way you can call that oppression. You can't call that disenfranchisement. Like, you had the choice. You had choices, and you still have choices. In fact, you have more choice than you've ever had. Things have only gotten better for women and they've gotten worse for men. Now, Miek Stoverock makes suggestions as to what the coexistence of men and women could look like in a post-male civilization. What do you, no, if we go post-male, there is no civilization. It doesn't make any sense. That statement makes zero sense. Once you go post-male, depending on what you mean by post-male, if you go post-male, who do you think maintains the infrastructure of the country? It's men. It's not women predominantly. It's men. Who maintains the water, the sewage systems, who builds buildings, who maintains the roads, who maintains the internet systems, the cell towers, who does the most dangerous job in this country. It's men. Without men, there is no civilization. So no, there wouldn't be a post-male civilization. It would just be falling to fucking disrepute, and we go back to being in the fucking Stone Age again. A world order, so let me read this again. Now, Miek Stoverock makes suggestions as to what the coexistence of men and women could look like in a post-male civilization. A world order in which women tend to choose several alpha men in the course of their lives, but in which not every pot has a lid. She reckons that with the institution of marriage, in which she sees an instrument for the oppression of women, which is bullshit, and calls for a departure from the romantic notion that men and women can be happy in lifelong monogamy. Men who can no longer find women in this new world should be cared for in a different way. Stoverock thinks that sex assistance and the role of prostitution she describes in pornography as possible, socially acceptable support for men. This stuff's already happening now, though. Other than maybe, well, if you're in the West, like if you're in America, you don't have prostitution per se, but you do have porn. Like, you have, they're already throwing the copes at us now. They're throwing the video games, oh, the porn, just watch porn. Oh, video games. Oh, do this, do that. Buy a doll, sex bots, guys. This, and that. Keep you distracted. But at the end of the day, these are just things that if you watch the exploitation video, he thinks only simulate human interaction, but it's not the real thing. You can never find the real thing. You can never make up for the real thing. It's like eating fake meat versus real meat, or eating like a vegetarian burger versus a real burger. You know which one's the real burger. Okay, you can stomach the a vegetarian burger for a time, but you know damn well you want that real cheeseburger though, with the blood and the fucking shit dripping off of it and the cheese on top. Okay, you don't want some fucking half-ass fucking burger, dog. Okay, so like these things might be they might be able to put some men to sleep with this shit here, but the moment you start reaching levels where like the average man can't have a partner, can't find a partner, can't even fulfill basic human interaction, you're fucked. Like you are literally fucked. There is no solving this problem just by throwing copes at men. It doesn't work. There's plenty of men who sit in their basement watching porn and they're seething at the world while watching porn, and they just put on a happy face for society. Men who never or only rarely find sex partners must be given ethical and socially acceptable ways of meeting their sexual needs. Mike Stoverock wrote a disturbing book. It's radical and provokes some resistance, and she uses it wisely with the foresight and invalidates counter arguments that can arise while reading. You don't have to like everything she writes. You can be outraged with her image of men and women, her rejection of marriage, the way she criticizes religion. Yeah, this chick's obviously a leftist for sure. This is the far lefty. No religion, marriage is oppression. Okay, well this book's gonna be very very slanted in a certain direction. She's right about some things, but I think her overall perspective is gonna be warped and changed, and gonna have a slanted view of men in general, just by the fact that she rejects marriage in general. But well, I'll keep going. But that is precisely why your book is worth reading, because it prompts you to rethink relationship between men and women to argue, and also to argue. I think that was it. So yeah, this was an interesting article. I agree with some of the analysis, especially here. Like once again, not all men make it, and that's always been the reality of the sexual marketplace. Not all men make it. It's just true. But the fact of the matter is that when you start getting once the average man can't make it, that's when you start having problems, and you can't you can't just keep throwing copes at a man thinking that you're going to solve the problem just by putting a band-aid over it. No, you need to actually fix the problem. Men need a stake in society for society to function. If men don't have a stake in society, don't have a stake in the future of the country, they won't fight to defend it. They won't fight to make it better, and they'll just let it fall down. They'll work just enough to keep the fucking lights on and their guts full, but they won't work harder than that. This stuff leads to decreases in tax revenue. It leads to decreases in GDP. It leads to decreases in a whole bunch of shit, and it leads to a lot of increases in a lot of bad stuff. So I think that this. I haven't read the book yet. I might actually buy this book maybe, but it's probably gonna be in German, so I probably can't read it. But if I can find a way to get this book, I might actually read it actually, and maybe do a review on it. But yeah, this was an interesting article. Either way, Mr. School out. I'm done for the day. All right, guys. See you next time.